Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's Alan Barry Laboucan here. I'm the founder of the Alan Barry Reports and also the CEO of Advanced Gold, AAX.V. They are the sponsors of my show. So I wanted to introduce those first. Today I have a special guest. Recently I started coverage of a company called Sokoman Iron Corp. Their symbol is SIC on the Venture Exchange. Why I started covering them is because they had some very good high-grade drill results out of their project. And then they followed it up with that on Friday. So that's really what I wanted to get up to speed with. And I've got on the phone today Timothy Froude. I think I said your name right, Timothy. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Alan, and you did indeed pronounce it correctly.
Well, I'm kind of sensitive to that because my last name gets abused pretty good as well, Timothy. So, yeah, let's get right into it, Tim. I'm going to bring up a screen share here, and what I wanted to get started with is your recent news. So I'm going to just switch that over right now. And I'm going to get onto the screen share. So here we are. Okay, I've got your news release cranked up there. The headline is Sokoman Iron cuts 24.9 meters of 33.56 grams per ton gold out of their Eastern Trend. And this was a sort of a follow-up to their MH 1801. So let's start there. Moosehead Project, Newfoundland. Big results there, Tim.
Yeah, well, it's always been a high-grade target area, Alan. Even back when it was initially discovered, back in the late 80s, boulders were found grading into the hundreds of grams followed up back with in-situ mineralization of similar types of grades by the project vendor. All of these minerals, something to following the initial gold discovery. So that's always been a high-grade target, and I think fair screening that.
Yeah, and Tim, is that what caused the historical drill holes? Was those boulder discoveries?
Exactly. There's virtually no outcrops to be found on the project, particularly in the area of mineralization, which is unfortunate because I think and maybe fortunate for us that it wasn't over the years of drilling campaigns that tried boulders with I would say less than stellar results. Occasionally with people that would suggest maybe they're onto it finally. But no, in fact, I would venture to say the most consistent drilling in terms of following up significant results has been our last two programs, and partly due to the fact that we're patient, we're exploring this on a very cautious note with small step outs anywhere from 15 to 25 meters, and I think that's
well, in reality, though, Timothy, those 15 to 20 meter step outs are pretty significant when you're looking at that kind of grade, and you want to keep following. You don't want to sort of step out too much and then get blanked, and then you kind of got to start back where you should have been, right?
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct, Alan. I mean, the 15 meters is 50 feet. That's a 5-story building, and you can pack a lot of tons in there. Certainly a lot of that these
5-story building, and you've got $1,200 rock there. It starts adding up to a lot of ounces really quickly.
It does, and like I said, grade is king, and no truer words have been spoken. And it's just such a pleasure to have a property that has these sorts of grades, that causes this much excitement. Although the markets are a little bit difficult these days to understand, and but it's the same playing field for everybody. So
well, What I think is happening out there with the market, Timothy, is we've got a lot of fear and loathing out there right now. We kind of got left behind on the weed and the blockchain stocks. And, you know, what we've needed for a while in this market is for a junior that's not got a blown out share structure to go out there and poke some holes. And we're seeing signs of it. I mean, Westhaven hit some good results. Other companies have hit some good results and their stocks are reacting. But then you get these, you know, these big flippers that, you know, flip for a penny or two. When I don't think that's the play with you guys. These are hard to come across.
Oh, absolutely, and you're correct on the, you know, it seems like these days, you know, good news or any news at all is just a trigger, a sell trigger for, you know, for the big block holders. You know, I don't fully understand the market that well to, you know, explain easily away how this is all happening, but, obviously our stock should be doing, in my opinion anyway, I'm biased, obviously, but, you know, our stock should be trading, you know, higher than this, and, but you know, I guess we're better than most. You know, a lot of companies would love to have, you know, 13 like today, 13.6 million shares.
Yeah, that's a man.
You know, but you know, a lot of people would love to have that liquidity.
Remember in the old days, we used to always get complained about no liquidity in the juniors. Lots of liquidity in SIC. Now, I wanted to get you back to your the west and east zone there, Timothy. Why did you guys, after 100 and some holes had been drilled, they had done some stripping over on the western zone? What got you interested in drilling the east zone with the first hole that hit that big high grade earlier?
Well, the funny thing, there are only two holes that were drilled really underneath North Pond, and that's where this mineralization sits below a very shallow pond. It's only like a meter or two deep at the deepest. And one of those holes was, in fact, the deepest hole drilled on the property, which was in 2003. The operators of that hole, and it returned about 207 meters vertically below surface, the deepest intercept on the property, and it was a narrow but high grade, 270 grams over a meter.
Wow.
So only one hole ever drilled on this property penetrated below 200 meters vertically.
Oh, even on the 100 or so in the western zone area, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Oh.
In fact, the total meterage drilled in those 110 holes is less than 12,000 meters. So I mean,
120 meters per kind of.
Right. So it's still. So what we're finding now is as we expand on the eastern trend, we're starting to fill in that gap between 100 meters or 200 meters vertically and surface. And we know from the western zone this stuff outcrops because you know, we're hitting drill intercepts at, you know, 1 meter down the core barrel, right? You know, 200 grams. So
wow.
It's so I mean we know.
I lost you a bit there, Timothy. What I was, I heard you do an interview just recently, and I was kind of wondering, you were talking about it sort of dipping to the west, and I'm going, how could that be? If it's dipping towards the west, you got this high grade, and then you're dipping towards where it's low grade. I didn't understand those holes were only about 100 meters deep each.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we only had information on two historic holes in that area. So our thinking was, and both of those holes hit, obviously one was much higher grade than the other, and I'm speaking about the historical holes now.
Okay.
Indicated to us that it was a vertical to subvertical structure. And when we drilled 1801, we
more flat.
We only got halfway to our target. I mean, you know, that was our initial goal with hole 1801 was to test 50 meters dip, this historical intercept, which we should have gotten at about 200 meters down the hole. Well, at about 109 meters, we intersected this structure that had this fabulous, you know, quartz vein laced with gold, and history, obviously.
Now, is that? Pardon me?
obviously within we realized immediately, that this was not the case. And what we seem to be seeing now, Alan, is that this is actually very similar in nature to the Western trend, and that it's a north to northeast, more gentle to moderately dipping slab or block of mineralization.
Like a flat-lying sill with a gentle dip sort of idea, right?
Exactly, and that's been proven in the Western trend, through drilling and camera work down the hole. The televiewer survey certainly helped Altius figure that out back in the day that they were active there. So, it's probably not a stretch then to say, well, maybe the Eastern trend is sitting in similarly sort of oriented, orientations, and that's what we're going to do with the winter program in early 2019. Is basically to get out on the ice and drill this thing from top to bottom.
Right, vertical holes, right? So you can pound them away fast. That's so that you'll kind of, if for argument's sake that North Pond was kind of a pizza box, the flat-lying pizza box is what you're going to poke holes into, not trying to hit with these angled holes that are trying to catch what would be more of a vertical type body. Am I getting that right, Timothy?
Exactly, yeah. Well, because what we're doing right now, the holes are having some measure of success, but where it is now apparently a more moderately dipping body.
Yeah.
Some of our recent holes, like particularly hole 16 and hole 18, missed the zone because of the angle of the dip, right? We just drilled
right under it.
Yeah, so now we know that, but getting on top of it, that won't happen, right? Basically just be able to drill this off,
That's impressive, because now you don't have to sort of worry about, well, yeah, I guess you can still get some pinching and swelling and dipping towards in the flat lying sheet, but it's sure a lot easier to get that in the drill hole and start, getting a fair amount of. Sorry, folks, I just lost Timothy for a second there, but I'm getting him back on the phone. Timothy, you there? Yeah, I got you back. Your cell's a little coming in and out, but we're okay. We're going to get through this anyways, Timothy, because you got a lot of important stuff. I was just talking about how it's a lot easier to drill vertically from the ice than these angled holes.
Yeah, and basically we'll cut our drilling distances, probably by half, or basically the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Twice as much.
So twice as much information for the same amount of dollars. Now, something else I picked up when you were talking there, Timothy, on that interview, I think it was a Corlin or somewhere, you had done an interview just right after. Oh, no, it was with a young chap there. Yes, great kid. And you mentioned that these might connect the Western and the Eastern trend. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Originally, I couldn't wrap my head around it, Timothy, because I saw all these holes that were kind of low grade. And then I'm going, how is that connecting if the high grade is over here? So maybe explain a little bit of that to us.
Well, again, it has a lot to do with the angle of the previous drill holes. For the most part, those holes were drilled in an orientation that would be parallel to the target you're trying to hit, and those really realized in 2016 by the property vendor when they hired the services of a structural geologist to examine, which still is the only trench ever to expose mineralization on the property. As I mentioned, there's no outcrop. It's just a thin, up to 4 to 6, maybe 8 meters thick of till. But no one had ever seen the mineralization other than in drill core. So his work in the trench and combined that with relogging some of the old holes, he determined that these veins are all gently dipping to the north and trending east-west, whereas the historical way of thinking
trending east-west, not I get it.
North-south.
Right.
North-south. So there. So, a dare say more than half, are probably not drilled in the right way to
Hit?
the mineral as we know it.
Well, and they're not deep enough either, right?
And they're probably not deep enough. So, for many reasons, that could have been missed. And obviously, no one ever in the same orientation that we drilled 1801.
Now,
all the other almost 90 to opposite that.
Another thing that I noticed is that there's a fault that goes sort of in between the north and the south. Is that potentially something that could offset the mineralization on either side?
It could, and we're actually going to be testing that theory with some of the holes we've got earmarked for rig 2. We currently have 2 drills turning on the property.
Yeah.
One is basically focused on the eastern western trend area, while rig 2 is testing outside targets that were identified either through previous work, no follow up on intercepts, and as well our own thoughts as well as to where things should go. So yeah, exactly. I mean, we could find another half or more of the western zone, either to the north or to the south, depending on how the relative movements were.
And another thing, now you brought it up, the northern end. Now this is what kind of got my a little bit of goosebumps working there for me, because I know you don't need a lot of step out to get a big discovery when you're looking at $1,200 an ounce or $1,200 gold type rock. But you did some work in both the float sampling and in drilling that you're seeing visible gold in those holes as well, and same kind of quartz, same deal, Timothy?
Well, certainly the mineralogy looks similar, Alan, and we still have the...
You still have the which? Oh, I lost our guest again. Be patient with us, folks. We're dealing with a little bit of technology problems here. I'm trying to get a few things happening between the video and the screen share and Timothy on the line, but I'll get him right back on here because I'm back out. Don't worry about the technical difficulties. People can keep listening and I'll keep it going, but because now we're getting into some, not only do you sorry, Tim?
On that topic of the northern drill there, and basically there was an area of historical soil anomalies, basically gold values in the soils, as well as an area of float that ran anywhere from a few grams up to 180 grams per ton.
And that wasn't just one sample either. You got some other quartz float there.
Exactly. There's a whole cluster of them there, Alan, and it looks like what rig 2 has done is basically, we think, at least for the time being, and there could be multiple sources, has basically drilled into what could be, the in situ source for some of these boulders. Time will tell. We'll have to drill it out. And in fact, we're positioning rig 2 to the north now of that third hole. As I mentioned, we don't have assays yet, but we did mention it in the press release because we did see visible gold in that intercept, which is quite exciting.
So that's still pending? That visible gold hole is still pending?
It's still pending,
okay.
And we're back there again. Rig 2 actually has moved 25 meters to the north, and we'll look for extensions of that zone.
Now, I got a question for you, Tim. Are you seeing a similar type of a dip up there and flat-lying body as what you're seeing down at the east end? Or the east zone, sorry.
We don't know yet, Al. We only have the one hole limit
ourselves. So, yep.
It's very difficult. It could rotate at any degree angle around there, but
yeah, because you're sitting right at the contact of 2 rock packages there, right?
Yeah, there's sandstones and siltstones. The best mineralization actually seems to be in the darker, more carbonaceous rocks, which is probably explaining what's happening in the system. Is that the darker carbonaceous rocks are a little bit more reactive and more conducive to gold precipitating out. But we're not seeing the same sort of structural sort of indicators up there. It seems to be more of a brittle information up there than, say, a shear zone sort of thing.
Oh.
So, like I said, we got lots to learn up there yet. We're quite excited by it, and we're going to drill more holes up there to try and figure out what's going on.
Now, is geophysics helping you out? Are you able to sort of see what's getting some ideas from the geophysics, Tim?
Yes, there is historical geophysics. We haven't done any ourselves yet, Alan, and maybe that's something we'll consider, moving forward to help better define these higher grade zones. But it certainly seems if you use the old surveys that were done here and superimpose them on top of what we now know, you can see patterns. Yes.
Good. Good.
Particularly the magnetics. There's a series of mafic dikes that are closely associated with much of the mineralization here.
Yep.
And they're typically magnetic. However, when they get altered and mineralized,
Yeah.
they lose their magnetism. And so you see these weaker zones in the actual magnetic. They're actually being utilized right now to help us a little bit on the eastern trend. And, we've got our fingers crossed.
Okay. Now, let's do a little bit of really crazy arm waving for a second. Is there a possibility that this west zone, this the east zone, and the north stuff could all be part of some very large system? I mean, when you're getting 45 meters of an ounce, this suggests a pretty big system, doesn't it, Timothy?
Well, certainly, and I'll just spread the I guess the envelope a little wider here, Alan. And 130 kilometers to the southwest of us is currently a 4 million ounce plus gold deposit being advanced by Marathon Gold. I'll put in a plug for my friends at Marathon.
Okay.
People have always said, there are no large gold deposits in Newfoundland. That's why no one ever came here to look for them. Well, baloney to that now, based on 4 million ounces. And I'm fully convinced that when they're done down there, they'll have 10 million ounces. No
wow.
We're on structure, right? So we're on that same structure. That structure cuts right through the entirety of the province of Newfoundland.
Oh.
And, yeah.
That's a big vent.
Big structure is big gold, like look at the Abitibi and the Destra Porcupine Fault, right? I mean, I'm not saying we're going to get there, but we've already put a few hits to bed here in terms of, well, you can't find big gold deposits here, and you can't find high grade gold deposits here. Well, I can just the two, Marathon and ourselves are certainly putting those myths to bed.
Well, and how often do we see 30 meters of high grade anymore, Tim? We're in an industry that the average discovery is under a gram now. This high margin type rock just isn't being found yet. The industry needs more discoveries badly. So even though we're having this time of fear and loathing in the junior markets, you guys are kind of the recipe for what we need to sort of turn things around. Companies going out there and making some really exciting discoveries of this high grade, high margin, potentially high margin type rock. It's kind of what the doctor ordered.
Well, absolutely. No, and I was recently at a conference, the Silver and Gold Summit in San Francisco just a few weeks ago. And Bob McEwen of McEwen Mining got up and basically said just that. He actually, part of his presentation, he actually had a slide of several companies. We were one of the featured companies in the slide, by the way.
Yeah.
That shows the drill hole is back, basically, right?
Yes.
So companies can get rewarded, for producing a good hole.
Well, I think there's two folds to that, Timothy, because not only do you have to find something with this truth machine, but then you got to find it and not have too much stock out. And the reason that you guys will be able to keep the stock from getting too crazy is because you're 1,000 meters from the highway and you can drill all year long. That is going to keep you from, quickly getting up to 300-400 million shares out to the point where it almost doesn't matter what you find.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because, I've read now press releases from several companies operating out in the Golden Triangle. they're basically shutting down for the winter now. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there's no
Shut down. They're already shut down, Tim. Tim, they're end up in the Yukon. They've been shut down for 2 months.
So I mean, you know, we're going to be making news when really no one else is. You know, I anticipate a steady stream of news every, you know, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever the case may be. You know, moving forward, you know, for the rest of, you know, for 6 months, you know, until spring breakup, basically. You know?
And then so you're really only things you got to worry about are breakup and freeze up.
Exactly, and we're kind of at that stage now with the freeze up, and which actually is easier to deal with than the breakup. The breakup is when the roads really get bad.
Mashy. Yeah.
Fortunately, you know, our property is crisscrossed with old logging roads.
Oh, nice.
And of course, we drill 110 historical drill holes. You have to make roads for those as well. So in most cases, all we have to do is just skin out some, you know, underbrush, and we're ready to go. So and we're 2 hours drive from the lab, you know, and we're 2 hours drive from the drilling company base of operations. So
well, and another point is that your pond is very shallow. So you're not going to have to wait, like up in the Northwest Territories, I did a lot of diamond exploration, and we'd always have to look at that ice thickness because you're dealing with, if you go through that ice, you're going to die. If you go through this ice, it's a meter thick, you can walk out.
Well, actually, we're already working with the drilling company as to how to fix this, and they've come up with an ingenious idea. They're basically going to put the drill on a barge and drag it on the ice. So
okay.
It does melt or partially breaks through. You know, the barge is there to keep them from going very far. But we've already tested the water. We've had my guys out in a boat, you know, the week before last, and they said you wouldn't float a big fish in there. So I mean, you know, it's
how long do you think it'll be before you can get into on top the ice there, Tim?
Well, I think we're going to have to wait until at least, you know, sometime in January.
Okay.
There's you know, very little ice. Winters aren't what they used to be. You know, when I was a boy, you know, it seems like winter came at Halloween when your last day of school in June.
Yes.
But lately, you know, it's been tough going, and you know, ice conditions haven't been that favorable. But like I said, you know, we're always working on the engineering there to get that program going on schedule. You know, in late January.
Because once you do have the ice, you can bang it out quickly, right? Like you can get from one end of that pond to the next end of that pond fairly quickly.
Oh yeah. It's not very big. It's only, you know, probably 400 or 500 meters in length, and you know, at its widest maybe 200 meters. So I mean, but you know, funny thing, you know.
Oh, that brings up another point. You're not just going on that one line. You're going to be going side to side on the pond as well as a long strike.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's the plan moving forward, and January, the end of January won't get here fast enough for me. Because, that will be when, and I don't mean to bypass Christmas. We all love Christmas, of course.
Yep.
But just the anticipation alone of that program has already got me excited.
I betcha. Well, you know, I'm excited about seeing what comes up on both sides of the fault as you get deeper on the west side, and also what's happening up in the north there. This is looking like it could have some serious size potential, and if you add that with the grade, I think everybody that wants exposure to exploration for gold, you better have this one on your radar. I filled up my position on Friday, Tim. As soon as I saw those results, I went to a full position, and it's no longer a trading position for me. I mean, I just know how hard these flippers of stocks, they can find 2,000 stocks a day to flip. A gold discovery like this, it doesn't come around very often.
No, and thank you for the kind words. It's so funny, you know, because I tell people this, and they look at me, you know, are you serious? I mean, I was actually born and raised just 15 minutes drive west of this property.
No way. That's awesome.
Like most geologists, you know, we globetrot looking for these sorts of opportunities, and here this one is in my own backyard, and it's a different deal. anything. I'll stay home and have this opportunity laid before me.
Wow.
I'm very lucky.
So you can commute to the property.
Well, I don't live there anymore.
Oh, okay. You grew up there.
And my brothers still live there, and so I do have deep roots there, obviously. And as a boy, I probably fished on the parts of this property.
Oh my! That'll be a true boy comes home success story if you find a mine out there.
Well, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Find a mine, and it's we're going to try our hardest, Alan, and we spend money very frugally as well. In fact, we have a very, very low burn rate. Most juniors, safe to say, with exceptions, would have significant office overhead and stuff. Our company doesn't have an office. I'm speaking to you from the office, which is
at your home.
My home, right? Much to my wife's chagrin, sometimes.
She wants to get you out of there. It's the parallels of the way you are doing things and are right in line with the way I'm doing things down here in Mexico, Tim. We got a really good project. We've done some early drilling. It's an epithermal vein cluster that we've only really touched on the edge of the system. But and now we got to go and hit the guts of the system. We've only drilled 7 holes on the property so far, but same idea of what you're talking about. Keep the cost down, do lots of good work. You got a good discovery. So now your stock's not going to get bloated as fast as a lot of these other, when you're sitting in Toronto or Vancouver and, you've got 4 or 5 people working there and the rent is expensive. To me, that's all drill holes.
Oh, absolutely. But, thanks for reminding me. I'm just going to put in a little shout out for our sister project, which is about 30 kilometers to the southeast of Moosehead. It's called Clark's Brook. And very similar to your story about your epithermal. That property is clearly an epithermal property, whereas Moosehead is more orogenic, deeper seated gold formation.
Are the veins coming to surface or are they blind?
Yes, no, they come to surface.
Okay.
And we've drilled 7 holes, just like yourself.
Yeah.
And all 7 holes have hit mineralization. But I think we're sitting at the very top of something at Clark's Brook. So here's the situation. I'm going to set up on top of this. It sits on a very distinctive magnetic globe, and this is in our presentation as well on our website, that is easily focused. And I'm going to stand up on top of that and drill a couple of holes down vertically through it because the boiling zone is down there. So there's 3 things can happen here. A, we get nothing. B, we get bonanza grades. Or C, at the very worst, I'll drill 400 or 500 meters to 3 or 4 grams.
Yeah.
Probably not a bad story.
Yeah, no doubt, especially as a sort of a backup second project to be doing some good work on. When would you get working on that one, Tim?
Well, I think what we do, obviously, the focus now has and is and will remain our Moosehead. And after we sort of wind things down late in the winter for Moosehead, we'll probably up over and drill a couple of holes into Clark's Brook. It's only going to cost. Our drilling costs are around 100 to 120 bucks a meter at the high end. Wow. And to drill 1,000 meters cost me $120,000. Which 2 years ago, that was more money than we had in the bank.
Well, and I'll tell you, I look at the same kind of numbers, Tim, and having spent a lot of my career up north looking for diamonds. It's an awfully nice situation to be looking at $100 drilling costs instead of, all in cost $500, $600, $700, $1,000 when you go way up north. That's why all these juniors have blown out share structures, Tim.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So.
And with hole 1801, we were able to attract the attention of one Mr. Eric Froude and associates that gave us the treasury to do what we're able to do now, and that's advance this project the way it should be. Properly,
and that's a thing that I kind of around the same time as yours went up quite dramatically, and then it came down because we didn't get a lot of joy in the edge of the system, other than hitting 30 blind veins. That's a good amount of joy, and now we got to test it into the system. But I got the same kind of hard times, and to me, when you get a project like this, or the one we have down, why this one we have down here, we're only 70 miles from Fresnillo, where Mag Silver has their big Juanicipio. If you find something significant in your drill hole, you've got to do it right. And most of these projects don't get done right. And, so you've got the financing now to do it right there. And I'm really glad for that, Tim, because I know how difficult these things are to find.
Absolutely. I mean, we budgeted basically 1.2 million to drill 10,000 meters is what we proposed for this phase. And what we don't drill, prior to the end of the calendar year, we'll just tip it over into the new year. But, having said that, $1.2 million out the door, we'll still have $2.5 million in the bank.
Nice.
That's a very nice feeling, right?
So you're not going to have to go hand to mouth to do this properly. You guys are going to be able to bang away and get this thing done right and see what's there.
Absolutely. We have a very unique situation, though. All of our dollars are currently hard dollars, so.
No flow through.
So we're actually thinking maybe of taking a little bit of flow through off just to help offset, and keep the hard dollars for the rainy days that may come, hopefully.
Yeah, but then you got that market sentiment about flow through money these days, how those flow through funds, just unless you can find a flow through guy who, the way I look at flow through, I would never participate in flow through unless I want to own the stock as well.
Well, something, we're not desperate, and that's important.
Okay.
If don't suit us, well, we don't need to do it, right?
And so it would be safe to say, if you do take some flow through money, it will be the good kind of flow through, not one of these funds that just blow it out right away and hold the warrant.
Absolutely, and restrict the warrants, and and get a premium to the to the markets and things, because people are getting a tax credit anyway, so they don't mind paying extra for stock. And
yeah, especially if they get a warrant, half warrant or something attached. Good. Well, Tim, thanks a lot for coming on the show and explaining everything, because I think sometimes people get so bloody focused on the stock action, the volume, the movement. And, you and I have been in this business a long time. These drill holes are what's exciting, not the day-to-day fluctuations in the stock.
Absolutely. No, and that's the thing. Yes, I would like to see the stock trading higher, obviously, yes. And, I feel for people that paid, 30 or 40 cents for the stock, and they're seeing the stock underwater now. But, that just makes us more determined to get that price back there.
Well, you're doing your job, though, Tim. You're delivering with the drill holes, and that's something unique in itself. There's a lot of big stories out there that, they get smaller with the drilling. You guys are getting bigger, and that's very exciting. And congratulations to you and your team. That's in order as well, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, thank you very much again for the kind words. And like I said, we're going to be busy, right up until almost Christmas. And results. There's going to be a continuous stream of news results now for a month. So
okay. So almost right up until PDAC time.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, March. We'll still be drilling in March.
Hopefully, you guys are the talk of the show, Tim. Or maybe I'll try to catch up and be the talk of the show with you.
Well, don't put too much pressure on me now.
Good, Tim. I'm going to wrap things up, but just hold on the phone for a second, okay? I'm just going to wrap up the show here. Folks, you know me. I'm all about the truth machine. I'm all about investors doing their homework. If you are even slightly interested in being involved with gold exploration, this one, Sokoman Iron, SIC, is a must to have on your radar screen. I own it myself. I saw the recent results. I know how difficult these things are to find, and I think they're on the verge of having something very special on their Moosehead project. And now Tim brought me aware of another system that might be exciting as well. So these guys are serious exploration guys, and I'm very excited about the company, and I think you should be too. And do your homework. As I always say, my shows are for information purposes only. It's important for you to do your homework and speak with your financial advisors. But this one is a must for you to do your homework on if you have any interest in gold. On that note, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.